Famous rock and roll star Elvis Presley once said, "Truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a time, but it won't go away." It appears the frequent collapse of the national grid is man-made after all. The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ola Olukoyede, said investigations carried out by the agency showed that contractors in the power sector who were awarded projects to supply electrical equipment often opted for substandard materials. Olukoyede, who is the chairman of the EFCC, disclosed this at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja when members of the House Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes visited him. He noted that this dubious practice was a major cause of frequent equipment failures, outages, and grid collapses as witnessed recently. How did we get here? But first of all, the issues raised by the EFCC chairman, how credible are they?
I think the EFCC chairman should stop over-dramatizing procedural issues.
Dramatizing?
Over-dramatizing. Let me tell you, Nigeria has a procurement law. The public procurement law of 2007.
Yes.
It's there. It lists how, contracts are awarded. Procurement, pre-qualification, then qualification, before the Federal Ministry of Finance will now also evaluate all those things and then prepare documentation for cash backing. Then you follow it up. After the cash backing, you have to follow up project implementation.
Okay. You
follow it up and make sure, if you go to a bank today that you want financing for equipment. Let's say you have a factory, financing for equipment. The bank will tell you that they have vendors. So they will contact their vendors. Their vendors will, take care of that procurement. So how come, what's the EFCC chairman telling us? Then everybody in the Bureau of Public Procurement should be arrested. You know why? Because
the thing will pass that table.
It will pass through the table. It will pass through the Federal Ministry of Finance. It will pass through different stages. I know there are issues, like I said earlier, technical expertise. I know there are issues of bureaucracy, then corruption. But you see, when we over-dramatize this corruption, we make it look like one kind of, one kind of amorphous entity that cannot be caged. If we follow due process in these things, in government business, you will see that a lot of these things we call corruption will be curbed. But if you're not talking about something as serious as the national grid, it's very embarrassing, because the whole world is listening to us.
Sure.
National grid, 9.0 gauge, then they buy 6.0 gauge. Let me tell you, if this kind of a thing is passing through the relevant authorities, how are you sure that the roads, bridges that are being built are also not, how are we sure? A lot of things affecting people's lives every day. We just only tell corruption. No, we must make sure those who have the oversight of these things, if they don't do their jobs, why are they still keeping their jobs?
Johnson, the alarm raised by the EFCC, is this not coming a bit too late? Or is it right on time?
It's not nothing is ever too late, especially when you have the opportunity to correct it.
Okay.
We have that opportunity. And for me, there are two issues that came from that.
Okay. Tell me.
Number one is the procurement process.
Okay.
Who certifies? If indeed we have substandard equipment being used, like you said, we must look at the process.
Sure.
There must be somebody who should certify it, that this is good enough, this is what we paid for. For instance, we've had a few cases of roads where we have seen the minister now or in the past going there to say, no, this was not what we paid for.
Correct.
Okay.
We paid for this, so why are you giving us this? You must be able to explain. If you are told to do 2 millimeters of
asphalt,
and then you go and do 1, somebody should be there to tell you.
I agree.
Because for every project that is awarded, there is always somebody who is supervising from the ministry. So if that person has compromised, that person should be the first to go. You know, the way we make it look like is that it's only the head of a ministry that is accountable, that must be sacked. What about the one that happened in the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry of recent? Those civil servants are still in office. The person, we have not heard that anything has been done to that. Only the top person took the fall. What about those people? It means that, like Bobo said, those who are corrupt are left in the system, and then another minister comes, they corrupt that minister again. And number two, he spoke about implementation of capital projects in terms of budget, what you call it, performance. And that's shocking to me, that we do only about 20%. So meaning that it is now left, you give a contractor, for instance, a project for 1 billion, and then you now do a 20%, and the man wants to get out offsite. He keeps doing what he can do with the 20%, and then what happens?
But the thing is, now that the EFCC has raised alarm, what should the commission be doing? Is it just all talk and no action?
The commission should be doing something. And I will refer to what ICPC has been doing. ICPC has been tracking constituency projects in the last 5 years or more.
Tracker.
They've been tracking it. And you've seen a lot of things that have been unearthed. People who will buy tractors meant for the people and go and put it in their homes, you know, unused. They just dump it there, believing that if they leave power by any means, they can sell, they can do all of this. So many of those have been discovered. People have been made to refund money. Contractors have been forced back to site. Those are things we can do. Because it is not all of the time that the aim should be to jail. Send him to jail. Send him to jail. Can we first get something back from what we are losing? Because when the man decides that, okay, I have, for instance, 30 billion naira with me, and the court is going to send me to 7 years imprisonment, for which he's going to use about 4 years or thereabout, or fine him, then the man will keep the 20 billion.
What should the EFCC be doing?
First of all, the EFCC chairman there is what is called a Federal Tenders Journal. All tenders, every process of public procurement, contracts, everything must be published in the Federal Tenders Journal. The EFCC chairman should get that Federal Tenders Journal first and go through all these things. He said about 15-20%. Go through the Federal Tenders Journal. Then from there, start tracking the process to the point of implementation. Then let me now tell you one shocking thing. How many contractors actually are on site, on the site of their projects? You need to find that out. Because there are cases, I'm telling you, go and investigate. There are cases where contractors, no problem, we'll sort it out. Yes, people in government will say, we'll sort it out, don't worry. This is our own share. And the contractor will just sit back and collect money, pocket it, without, being on ground to, So let every contractor be given a bond. Don't pay people money. Just give people money. I thought even the federal government had corrected this under former President Buhari. That, okay, we'll give you a bond, right? Payment, final payment will be based on...
When
I know some state governments, I think Oyo State also, some state governments implemented that. That, okay, we'll give you a bond. When the contract is concluded, and then evaluated satisfactory, then you can now present the bond for
for final payment.
Yes, for final payment. But if it is not satisfactory, that bond becomes useless. When you do that, you will make sure, it's just like every month, governors, commissioners of finance just go to Abuja and collect, a federal, just collect allocation from FAC. No. You should tie all those things to bonds. That is why you see the exchange rate remains high. Let's use these bonds.
Should the EFCC be publicizing the names of those contractors that actually provided the substandard product, substandard equipment?
No, you see, the thing is very simple. If you check in the tenders, if, first of all, if any project was not tendered for, that is a crime. That's an offense, first of all. Then the specifications in the tender will be there. If the specifications were not adhered to, heads have to roll. Heads should roll. And then the EFCC chairman is not just about, the contract. Get everybody
involved.
Look at recently, the federal government, revoked a contract given to Julius Berger for a road. And that's all. Nothing, no consequences, nothing. And you have such like that here and there. No consequences. Why not do like what the World Bank does? If you mess up with contracts, the World Bank, even the African Development Bank, they will blacklist you for 10 years. If you blacklist contractors who do this thing for 10 years, that they cannot carry out any government project, not even local government project. They cannot carry out any project in Nigeria. When you begin to blacklist contractors for 10 years, let me tell you, you will restore sanity to the system. Because there are many contracting firms that can actually do a good job. But because those who have been given these jobs, paddy, they know somebody in government,
exactly,
and then they can get a job when they don't have the technical competence to carry it out. If we do all this, we will save ourselves a lot of heartache.
Because of our time, do you agree with him?
Well, I agree with him, but I also add that, like I said, all of these things don't just end with this paperwork. There are people within that system who are ready to sell their souls to the devil in order to make money. So as you are doing it at the top, trying to look at this, they are also calling the contractors behind and planning how to shortchange the whole country. And those are civil servants. That's what is basically happening. Because there is nobody who is going to convince me that a contractor is supposed to bring something with which you have used government money to buy, and there is nobody to check. So we were just checking. Something happened. And just a little story. I know of somebody who built a school, who was going to build a school. And they told the person, don't pay money to the government based on the fact that you are building a school. Call it a residential apartment. It will be cheaper for us.
Wow. So
they collected some money, and the person also took that route. Years later, almost 20 years, something happened. And they came to us. This is supposed to be a residential building.
Why is the school here?
Why is the school here? And then they started tracing. Okay, this person was the person who signed it. She's retired. And can you believe that person is not late, but they can't fish out the person?
But they can't fish out the person.
But they know, and you know that they know where that person is.
And these things happen, even in buildings. Oh, this building.
All of these things.
2-story, you now build like 4-story on it.
Look at what happened in Lagos of recent. When buildings were collapsing.
Buildings were collapsing, exactly.
The commissioner had to go. But who were those who were satisfying those things? Why did we leave them within that system? Only, I think, one of them also left. But there are so many layers. All that these people go after is what can go into my pocket.
All right, then. All right, gentlemen.